Masters in Islamic Studies at the Islamic College of London. She also spent a year in Iran for further studies to learn Farsi. Upon her return, she taught in the Hausa of the Islamic College of London. She then qualified as a Muslim chaplain and counselor. She volunteered as Muslim chaplain in a women's prison and has advised police on Muslim community relations. Muallima Masuma has also studied further to become a qualified teacher and taught Islamic studies to college students. More recently, she's taken a role as resident alima for the Hujjat Stanmore and runs discussion circles, seminars, counseling sessions, and delivers lectures. She has written 2 books entitled Lessons from the Lives of the 14 Masumin and Lady Fatima Masuma. She has also co-authored a book with her husband entitled Quranic Sciences. Of all her achievements, she's most proud of being a mother to her 6 children. Please recite aloud salawat as we begin our session on the fiqh and the ritual aspects of Hajj.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى عترة الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, I'm going to go through the overview of Hajj, concentrating more on the spiritual aspect than the fiqh. And the reason for this is when you're on the ground there, you will have fiqh over and over and over again. And I know you're all worried about the fiqh and you're worried about the do's and the don'ts, but they will guide you through every aspect of the fiqh. But if you're going to just do the fiqh and not have thought about any of the spiritual aspect, then it will be like a tick box exercise. And that's why I want to sort of concentrate more on the spiritual aspect today so that you can get into the right mind frame before you actually get there. And I will touch on the fiqh, but that's not my concentration today. Okay. So initially, if we look at the reason why we go to Hajj, we're told in Surah Hajj where Prophet Ibrahim, after rebuilding the foundation of the Kaaba, was told that, and proclaim among men the pilgrimage. They will come to you on foot and on every lean camel coming from every remote path. So this call was made by Prophet Ibrahim, and it transcended time. It was made for all souls to hear, whether they were present in bodily form in the physical realm or whether they were only as souls in Al-Hamadar. And we're told by our 6th Imam Jaffer Sadiq alayhi salam, whoever responded, so whoever said labaik to this call, even though they may not have been born in the physical world, gets to go to Hajj when they actually come into the physical realm. So, and we're also told, and the number of times that they responded will be the number of times that they get to go to Hajj. So inshallah, for those of you who are coming for the first time, this will be one of many times that you go. But we know that all of us have at least responded this time so that we get to go this time. One of the things to actually think about as well is we responded in the world of the souls, and yet Allah has called us now. Why? Why have you been called now? What is the reason for not being called 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Why now? And honestly, it's because you're ready for that growth. You're ready to take something on from this experience. And it's really important to keep that in mind and to understand that you're going there for a huge change to happen in your life. This is an amazing opportunity. As Abbas kept mentioning, this is, we are so blessed. There are very few Muslims who get to go, and we're one of those few Muslims. So it's really, really important for us to be thinking about what is it that God wants from me? What change do I need to bring in myself? It's an amazing opportunity, and with every opportunity comes accountability. On the Day of Judgment, I will be standing there and Allah will ask me, what did you do with this opportunity I gave you? So it can't be just to fulfill my wajibat. Yes, it is a wajibat on me, and yes, I do have to fulfill it, but I have to grow from that wajibat. The reason why it is a wajibat is because it's supposed to bring me closer to Allah. It's supposed to make me a better person, a better human being, a better Muslim, a better Shia. So I need to be able to, I need to be thinking about what is it that I need to change in my life? Where am I in my life at the moment? Where should I be? What's stopping me from getting from where I am to where I should be? There has to be massive changes. Otherwise, we're doing ourselves a disservice, and it will be really difficult on the Day of Judgment to answer what I did with this opportunity. Okay, it is wajib once in your lifetime. Again, I think that is a huge thing, because what it tells us is that the lessons that we learn from the Hajj should be enough for us to then continue our whole life with those lessons. Now, it's very difficult because we as human beings tend to forget, and this is why the Quran is full of reminders, and this is why, again, we are recommended to go again and again, so that we relearn these lessons, we bring them back into our lives, and we ensure that we're actually living the lessons that we've taken away from the Hajj. At every point in the Hajj, I want us to be thinking about, what is it that I'm going to take back from this action? What have I learned from here? What am I going to do differently when I get back home? Thank you. So, istita is when you are able, and there are 3 conditions that have to be fulfilled for you to be able and for Hajj to become wajib on you. One is health, that you're physically able to go. One is finance, that you're financially able to not only go to the Hajj, but come back and continue living and supporting your families and so forth. And the third is the time aspect, that time-wise you're able to take that time out and go without any undue, unnecessary hardship on you. There is nowhere that talks about whether you're ready or not. And I think this is really, really important to take away. I know for you guys, you've all decided, and we've been called, inshallah, and we will go. But maybe sort of to think about the fact that a lot of the time, especially when it comes to our children, we think about the fact that, oh, they're not ready, they're not mature enough, they won't get the maximum from it. Nowhere does it say that you have to wait till you're ready, or till you feel you're mature enough, or till you feel you're going to get something out of it. Once it becomes wajib, it's wajib. You have to do it. And if you don't do it, then that wajibat is left on you. And God forbid, if you die before you fulfill that wajibat will be left on you. And yes, your family members can send someone for you, but it's not the same. Okay? So again, if your children have a trust fund or some money or something that, and they have the money to go to Hajj, then it's wajib on them, because they're physically able to, they have the finance, and again, and the time you would have to look at. But we need to make sure that we're actually thinking about the fact that once it's wajib, I have to do it. If I'm not ready, if I'm not mature enough, God's not going to call me. I have to keep reminding myself the reason that I have been called is because I'm ready for this Hajj. Otherwise, Allah wouldn't have called me. And a lot of us are panicking and thinking, oh, what's going to happen, and how is it going to happen, and what if I don't make the most of it? Again, if you weren't ready, Allah wouldn't have called you. So keep reminding yourself that you have been called. You are a guest of Allah. You have been called for this. So you're ready for this. Okay? It's a matter of whether you then decide to take on the lessons that God will make so clear to you while you're there. It's a matter of whether you decide to take those lessons or not. The other thing that we're, I talked about the fact that we're recommended to go again and again because we tend to forget. So one of the things that I think we need to be constantly doing in the Hajj is reflection, self-reflection, thinking about what I want to change. And there are lots of hadiths that talk about. So we have the hadith of the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where it says an hour of reflection is better than a year of worship. And then again from the 8th Imam alayhi salam, worship is not an excess of praying and fasting, rather it is a reflection on Allah's creation. Okay, so there is a lot of emphasis put on reflection and thinking, and it is only through reflection, one, that I actually can think about the things that I've done wrong and actually sincerely ask for forgiveness. There's no point me doing a blanket tawbah and istighfar and say, oh, you know what, God, Allah, just forgive me for everything. It's about me sort of thinking about the specific sins that I've committed and asking Allah for the forgiveness of those, and righting the wrong and making sure that I don't do those sins again. And 2, it's about, again, thinking about what I need to change in my life. What is it that I need to do? One of the things that surprises me whenever I go to Hajj, especially as a spiritual guide, is you have people who are so concerned about the fiqh, so concerned. It's like every single thing matters so much, and that's an amazing thing. It's like they'll ask 100 times over, am I doing this right? Am I doing that wrong? You know, what am I supposed to do here? How am I supposed to do it? If my shoulder, you know, moves a little bit, is that okay? They're so particular about it, and that's amazing. But Allah is not only in Makkah. Allah is all over. And when you come back home, why isn't that concern there? Why do we not have that concern when we're living our lives here? Why are we not concerned about, am I doing this correctly? Is my hijab perfect? Is, you know, have I done exactly how am I supposed to do? Is my salah the way it's meant to be? Am I interacting the way, you know, it's like every aspect of our lives is dictated by Allah. Every aspect. It's not just in Hajj that it's dictated in all aspects of our life. So the concern that we show there, we should be showing in all aspects of our life. And maybe that's one of the lessons that we need to all take on board. It's just as how particular I am about the fiqh there, let me be as particular when I get back. It's really, really important. And this follows on really well to the hadith that Imam Ali alayhi salam says, where he says, Allah has made Hajj an institution to judge the submission of human mind towards his might and a sign of their belief and respect to his greatness. And it is about submission. You know, like Abbas said, there's a lot of things that we will do which, if you look at it from the outside, makes no sense at all. Why do we walk around anti-clockwise? Why 7 times? Why do we hit this wall? Why do we spend, you know, the night in the desert, the day in the desert, and then the night picking up stones? And all of these things. If you think of it from a logical perspective, from the Western perspective, from the sort of intellectual perspective, which is what we do when it comes to the fiqh here, it doesn't make sense. Yet we do it. And we do it without questioning. And we don't say, oh, this doesn't make sense, and why should we do this because it makes no sense to me? But why do we feel that we have the right to do that when we're here? A lot of the things that we don't follow and we don't submit is because we say it doesn't make sense. But why do we do it there? And again, I think that's something that we need to be thinking about and questioning ourselves about. Okay, so preparation. There are 3 aspects of preparation, 3 types of preparation: physical, mental, and spiritual. Can you give me an example of a physical preparation that you may be doing? This is before you get to the Hajj. Walking, yeah? The walking is really, really important. So the physical preparation can be anything like walking, you know, building your stamina. It can be shopping and packing the things that we need to do. And again, packing the right things is important. So, you know, one of the things that I think a lot of women don't realize is covering the feet as part of the hijab. And although the feet should not be covered in ihram, for women it has to be, because the hijab overtakes the ihram aspect of not covering the feet. So for women, they have to wear socks because their feet have to be covered. And again, you'll do it there, and then we come back here, and it goes again. Hijab is perfect there, and we come back here, and it goes again. It amazes me. It's like, why? I don't understand. God's not there, just there. God is everywhere. So again, these are things we should be thinking about. Mental preparation. What sort of things are you doing to mentally prepare yourself? Wow. We've got the physical preparation sorted. Reading, yeah? Sort of writing a will. Okay, again, it's a physical action, but it's mentally preparing you that, you know what, you don't know whether you're going to come back. You know, one of the things that I did when I went on my Hajj after I had children was to actually write them all a letter, just in case I didn't come back. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But it was writing that letter and telling them, you know, just giving them some advice if I don't come back. And I left it with, you know, with Abbas and said to him, if we don't come back, that's when I want my children to have this. Otherwise, I don't want them to see it. And it just, again, mentally prepares you for, you don't know what's going to happen. Allah is your host. He will do what is best for you. But you need to be prepared for all scenarios. And that may mean not coming back, and that's fine. Because again, Allah will only take you when you're ready. And can you imagine being taken and the last thing you've done is your Hajj? It's like, what more can we ask for? It's like at that time I was like, I don't know, I want to come back. And now I'm like, seriously? Honestly? Keep me alive. If that's the last thing I'm going to do before I meet you, I'm sorted. Yeah. So again, it's getting mentally prepared for it. Mentally to constantly make sure that we understand that we are the guests of Allah. I think that's huge. You know, a lot of the times we think of it as a holiday excursion, and we start complaining about things like hotels and food and things like that. Allah is your host. Yes, it's through the group leaders, and yes, it's through the Saudi government, and yes, it's through this. These are all, people that fulfill the roles that, they have to do in order to take care of us. But in the end, the host is Allah, okay? And if these people don't fulfill their duties, I don't have to complain. Allah can see. He will compensate. If I give you an example, if I call someone to my house and I've got my children serving them, if my children don't do it correctly, I'm going to feel so bad, and I'm going to make sure I compensate you for that, and I'm going to overcompensate, and I'm going to apologize and make sure that I make you feel that you're very, very welcome. And it's the same sort of principle. Allah is the host. He can see what everyone else is doing. I don't need to complain to anyone unless I think I'm being oppressed in some way. Honestly, take everything with a pinch of salt and just say, you know what, it's fine. And actually, instead of looking at it from a negative perspective, in like, oh, this person's not doing what they're meant to do, and this person's doing this, and take it back to me. Self-reflect, and where's my growth? What can I learn from this to make myself a better human being, a better Muslim, a better Shia? Okay, a lot of the times, the thing that irritates us the most, the thing that annoys us the most, is the thing that we can learn the most from. And you'll notice different things irritate different people. So again, if I've got to hang up on something, honestly, there's some sort of growth in that from me. So realize that, one, everyone else who's there is Allah's guest as well. Secondly, that He is the host and He knows what's happening, and He will give you the tools to be able to handle whatever happens to you, and He will also not only give you the tools to handle it, but actually help your growth in this. This is why He's called you here. So constantly be looking at it from a positive perspective. There is a reason this happened. Where's my growth in this? Yeah, so it's really, really important to realize that. Okay, and spiritually, how would you prepare spiritually? Okay, so think about the changes you'd like to make in your lives. Yeah, you could do that. But I think the concentration before the Hajj would be actually trying to purify yourself as much as possible. Okay, so that can happen through asking people's forgiveness, building family ties. You cannot go to Hajj if you have cut family relationships. That's huge. It doesn't matter who's in the wrong. You're the one who's going to Hajj. For the sake of your Hajj, for the sake of your growth, just go and apologize. You're apologizing because you want to bring families back together. You don't have to apologize because a lot of the times people say, why should I apologize if I've done nothing wrong? So don't apologize for the thing that's happened if you feel you've done nothing wrong. Apologize for the fact that the relationship was broken and you did nothing up to now to fix it. Yeah? Please, please, please sort out family relationships. If you've hurt someone, actually, and again, I am so against sending out these mass WhatsApps and emails where you just send it to all your contacts and say, oh, please forgive me. It means nothing. There's no sincerity in there at all. I'm sorry. But when I get it, I delete it. I don't think there's any sincerity in that at all. Can you imagine if you've actually hurt someone to actually go up to them and face them and ask their forgiveness? That will stop you from hurting another human being again, because it's really difficult to face someone and ask for their forgiveness. So if there's people that you've specifically hurt, actually go and ask them for their forgiveness. And what that'll do is actually make you think twice before we do things like that again. Okay? And just again, family members, if there's been anyone that you've hurt, just take that time out and ask for forgiveness. That's really, really important. Make sure that your khums is up to date. Okay, so your money that you're going with Hajj is sorted, and everything that you have. And again, for ladies, your jewelry, if you haven't worn it at all, then khums is on that. Any presents, anything, any gifts, anything that you have extra, khums has to be paid on that. Okay, so it's really, really important to sort all of that out. Okay, let's move on. So looking at the actual Hajj itself, Hajj is made up of two parts. Okay, so you've got the Umrah Tamattu and the Hajj al-Tamattu. Umrah Tamattu starts from any time from the 1st of Shawwal to the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. And then Hajj al-Tamattu starts from the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, although we will actually start it from the 8th because we will wear our ihram on the 8th and leave Makkah on the 8th in order so that we're in Arafah in plenty of time on the 9th. okay? Because we have to be in Arafat between Zuhr and Maghrib. So we make sure that we get there earlier. And when you do get there earlier, and I'll talk about it in a little bit more detail, but when we get there earlier, everyone is so excited, and this is the plains of Arafat, but the actual wukuf, the stay, is supposed to be from Zuhr and Maghrib. So if you get there earlier, just sleep. Just rest, sleep, don't sit there and talk, don't sit there and, just don't start, don't do your ibadah then, just actually sleep and rest so that you're wide awake during the actual wukuf between Zuhr and Maghrib. A lot of people, when we get there, we usually get there in the night. So, you're up talking and everything, and then Fajr, and then you continue, and you're sitting there and chatting. By the time Zuhr comes, you're tired, you're shattered. And then you end up sort of falling asleep, and you're really, really tired. So again, make sure that you know that what is the time of the wukuf, and make sure you make the maximum benefit of that. Yeah? Okay, so Umrah Tamattu is made up of 5 different parts. You've got the ihram, the tawaf, the 2 rakats tawaf, sa'i, and taqsir. Okay? And all of these start with the niyyah. Now, for those of you who are your first time Hajj, you're going to start with saying that you're doing whatever action you're doing. So I'm wearing ihram for Umrah Tamattu, for Hajjatul Islam, wajib qubatun ilallah. Okay? And then I'm doing the tawaf for Umrah Tamattu, for Hajjatul Islam, wajib qubatun ilallah. So it's all of it is for the actual thing you're doing for Umrah Tamattu, for Hajjatul Islam, wajib qubatun. And again, you will be told this every single time you do the next action. Your spiritual guides will guide you through the niyyah. So please, please, please don't stress about any of that at all. What you need to be thinking about, and again, the spiritual guides will, because they'll be concentrating on the fiqh, on the ground, you need to be thinking about your niyyah and what that niyyah means to you. So it's not just the utterance of the words, but what are you actually? What is the niyyah in your heart? Why are you going to Hajj? Why are you doing these things? Okay, so it's important to actually have the niyyah, but the niyyah has to have 2 aspects for it to be correct. One is that it should only be for the pleasure of Allah. Okay, a lot of the times we say for the pleasure of Allah. It's not just for the pleasure of Allah, it's only for the pleasure of Allah. So there is no other reason you're doing this but for the pleasure of Allah. Okay? And secondly, in the way He tells you to do it. Okay, so you have to have both aspects there. And this is why we're so concerned about the fiqh, because we want to do it in the way He tells us to do it. And again, we're told that Allah has not created jinn or man except to worship Him. Okay, in the Holy Quran, Allah says, I have not created jinn or man except to worship me. Okay, so that means that the only purpose for our creation is to worship Him. So if I'm not worshipping Him, then I'm not serving my purpose. Okay, it's every single minute of every single day, 365 days a year, I should be in worship of Him. Yeah, when we think of worship, we think of when we're praying, when we're reciting Quran. But every aspect of my life has to be in worship of Him. Otherwise, I'm not serving my purpose at that moment. So whatever I'm doing, if I can keep my niyyah pure, if I can do it only for the pleasure of Allah, and if I can do it in the way He tells me, then that action becomes ibadah. Whether it's cooking, whether it's cleaning, ironing, whether it's dropping my kids to school, whether it's going to work, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I can keep my niyyah that I'm doing this only for the pleasure of Allah and in the way He's telling me, then that is ibadah. And therefore I'm serving the purpose of my creation. Okay? Now, for it to be only for the pleasure of Allah, that means then my expectation is only from Allah. Not from my husband, not from my spouse, not from my children, not from other people. If I don't get a thank you, it doesn't matter. If I get complaints, it doesn't matter, because I'm not doing it for them, I'm doing it for Allah. And also then it's important for me to know the fiqh of every aspect of my life so that I do it in the way He tells me. So the fiqh is very, very important, but not only in Hajj. It's important back home as well. Yeah? So it's really important to make sure that my niyyah is sorted. Again, we have a hadith from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says that every action is judged on its intention. Okay? So the action itself is not as important as the intention. It's really, really important that I get the intention correct. And this is the mental preparation that I need to do from now. Maybe from now till I leave, I can start sort of thinking about my niyyah in every action that I do. Am I doing it for the pleasure of Allah? Am I doing it in the way He tells me to do it? And if I can get into the habit of doing that, then even when I go there, it'll be much, much easier. When I'm there, it's much, much easier for me to then get the niyyah sorted. Yeah? And the results don't matter. because it's again, if I've done it for only for the pleasure of Allah, and I've done it in the way, as you know, as I've strived to do it in the way He tells me to do it, then it doesn't matter about the results at all. The results are on Allah. Okay. The difference in the reward for Hajj, we have a hadith from the 6th Imam, alayhi salam, who says the pilgrim who returns home are of 3 groups. Okay, so you've got 3 groups of pilgrims that return back. One is the ones that return home with their wealth and family secure. This is the least reward that God gives you. Okay, so whatever money that you spend in Hajj, you're told, or in Umrah or in Ziyarah, you're told that that money will be given back to you. Your family will be taken care of. You will be taken care of. You will be secure. And when you come back, that is the reward that you will be given. Okay, and this is for those people who have not got their niyyah sorted. They've not done it for the pleasure of Allah, or they've not done it only for the pleasure of Allah. They've done it for people, they've done it for title, they've done it for business, whatever. They've done it for material reward, so God gives the material reward at the end, right? Then you've got the second group, which I think a lot of people tend to fall in if we've not thought about it from beforehand. And these are the ones whose reward is that they're cleansed from their sins as if they've just been born. Okay, and these are people who've been concentrating on the fiqh and making sure that they've discharged the rituals correctly. Okay, so they've concentrated on the fiqh, and this is what most people do: concentrate on the fiqh, make sure that they've done that properly, and they will be then cleansed from their sins. This doesn't mean that they won't re-sin. Okay, the third group are those who've got their niyyah totally sorted. So they've not only got the fiqh correct, they're not only doing it in the way that Allah tells them, but they're also doing it only for His pleasure. They're doing it knowing that there is this is for their soul, that there is a growth in this. Okay, and these people, the reward is that they're rescued from the fire of hell. Now, to be rescued from the fire of hell means that we've been forgiven our sins, but also that we're protected from sinning going forward. Yeah. And that can only happen if we've spiritually connected with Allah, if we've grown from this experience and we've connected to Allah, and therefore then, we would not want to sin. Okay, so this is what we're hoping for. This is where we're trying to get to. So looking at the ihram, and again, I want you to be thinking about what you're going to take home from this. Okay, so there are 3 critical requirements for the ihram, and I put it to the 3 Ds. So there's the dress, which is the garment that you wear. For men, this will obviously be the 2 pieces that they will wear. For women, it can be their normal clothing, but obviously it's recommended to wear white, and if you don't, you'll actually stick out like a sore thumb, because everyone will be wearing white at that time. Okay, and it's actually nice to be exactly the same as everyone else. Okay, the decision, which is the niyyah that you make. Okay, and you will do the niyyah, and then the declaration is the talbiyah that you will recite. Again, you will go through this step by step with your spiritual guides on the ground. Okay, once you've done all these 3, so you've worn the ihram, you've made the niyyah, and you've recited the talbiyah once, which is wajib. Okay, then you are in the state of ihram. Okay, so it's not just about wearing the ihram, it's actually being in a state of ihram. And here then 25 things which are normally halal become haram for you. Okay, again, look at those 25 things. There's, mentally prepare yourself by looking at these 25 things, and again, your spiritual guides will go through it with you, and what the kafara is if you do something. And again, a lot of the times, if you do something mistakenly, there's not a kafara. There's only certain things that even if you do mistakenly, there is a kafara. But like looking in the mirror, which is the one that I think most people are most concerned about. It's like, oh my God, I looked in the mirror and I didn't realize. If you didn't do it purposely, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it's only when you do it purposely. And again, if you need to look in the mirror for a reason, so for example, you want to check that your hair is not showing, then you're allowed. But if you're doing it to check your hijab looks good, then you're not. Okay, so again, know what your niyyah is. Okay, if you're driving and you're looking in the mirror, again, you're allowed. So if there is a purpose behind it, it's fine. It's for beautification. The one thing to remember here is when you're in the state of ihram, what you're doing is actually just concentrating on your soul from now on. Okay, all these things that Allah has made haram for you, which were normally halal, are for the body. And if you look at it, it's things like, beautification, it's everything to do with the body. And what He's trying to do is get you to sort of realize that you are a soul within the body. The body is not important. And a lot of people in the groups that I'm in, and a lot of questions, we have to take unscented things because we're not allowed to use fragrance. Can we take unscented deodorant? Yes, you can, fiqh-wise, if you really want to, if it's unscented and it doesn't have oil in it. but you're not concentrating on your body. Please just get into the mental frame of mind that it's not about your body. Yes, you'll stink. Everyone is stinking there. It really makes no difference. No one notices. It's really weird because I am my husband will tell you, I'm the first one. It's like if there's any bad smell or something, I am actually doing, that sort of upka. I don't know what you call it in English. You're sort of retching. I can't help it. It's like, when I used to change my kids' nappies, I would have to hold my breath. I couldn't handle the smell. But yet there, it really doesn't have an effect on you because you're on a totally different mindset. You're not, you don't notice these things. You actually don't. And, to please, when you're, mentally preparing, think about the things that, it's not about the body, it's about the soul. You need to be concentrating. Once you're in the state of ihram, just concentrate on your soul. And this is where God is actually showing you who you truly are. This is your soul. Concentrate on the soul. Concentrate on your connection with Allah. If we can get this sorted, then when the body is brought back, the soul is going to be so strong that the body will not be dictating to the soul, but the soul will be dictating to the body. At the moment, generally, we live where the body tells us what to do, not the soul. Okay? So one of the things that we want from this is to sort of come back with a really strong soul. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we can take away the body for a little while. It's like I get my women to actually sit there when we're leaving Masjid Sajara, is actually to sort of wave goodbye to their bodies. Okay, you guys are staying there. We're not taking you with us. We're going to we're the soul now moving along. It's like just getting them in the mental frame of mind that you are the soul that's moving on this amazing spiritual journey. The things to think about is everyone's dressed the same. There's no sign of status, wealth, which is visible. Okay, it doesn't matter how rich you are, which family you come from, whether you're an Arab or not, it makes no difference. Everyone is the same. The only thing that is important here is taqwa, and only Allah knows at what state of taqwa you're at. Okay, so there's what you're trying to show is that to try to take out all these things that separate us. And the main thing that separates us is the clothes. It's like you can see, the way that people dress. Oh, this is a Khoja. Oh, this is a I don't know, Iraqi. This is this person. This is. Because again, our clothes dictate who we are, and generally our clothes wear us rather than us sort of, wearing our clothes, if that makes sense. So we're trying to get rid of this separation, we're trying to get rid of this discrimination, and we're trying to break the ego. If I am one droplet in the ocean, if I'm like everyone else, hopefully my ego will then be broken slightly, and it will make me a little bit more humble and a little bit more, you bring that humility within me, okay? It's not about I, it's about we. And that concept of unity, that concept of ummah is really, really important. And this is why the doing Jamaat namaz is really, really important when you're there, even though it's done slightly differently, and we'll look at that in the last few slides. Reminder of death again. It's like it's really an eye opener when you actually think about. Imagine if yourself in a coffin, and this was the day of judgment. How would you respond? And again, when you're on the plains of Arafat and you're in Muzdalifah, these things constantly are coming in your mind. The beauty is here you have a chance to change and ask for forgiveness and make those changes. On that day of judgment you won't have. That'll be it. Yeah. Looking at the tawaf, 7 rounds anti-clockwise. The 4th round is the cut-off point. Okay, so if anything happens before the 4th round, for example, if your wuzu is broken by mistake before the 4th round, you have to start it again from the beginning. Okay, but if it happens after the 4th round, then you can actually start it from wherever you stopped it from, wherever the break happened. Okay, so the 4th round is the main thing. There are lots of other fiqh that come into it, but I'm not going to go into it because again, they will go into it in detail when you're there. What I want you to concentrate on is the fact that this is a time for connection. Okay, this is the time when you do dua, when you do istighfar, when you're contemplating. There are specific duas that are mustahab to recite. Unless you know these duas from beforehand, you're not going to be able to hold your book there and try to recite it. The crowd is just too much. And also, if you're trying to recite it and you don't know the dua, you're going to get very little out of it. So if you want to recite the mustahab duas that are there, make yourself familiar with them from now. Okay? What we usually recommend is to do duas that you connect to do istighfar, to recite salawat, and actually just to think. Okay? And again, for those of you who do any type of meditation, this really, really helps. Because if you can zone out everyone else that's there, then it really helps with the connection. So again, if you haven't done any meditation, just from now till you go, try to just do some breathing exercises before your salah in order to just focus so you can block out everything else. Because it's very easy to get drawn into everything that's happening around you. It's very easy to people watch and notice what other people are doing. It's very easy, it's very difficult to concentrate on your connection with Allah and concentrate on what you're reciting and things like that when people are pushing and things are happening around you. So again, you need to get into the frame of mind where you can actually zone things out and really not concentrate on that. Okay. Again, for women, I find this very, very difficult because as a woman within Islam, segregation is something that's constantly pushed, and it's something that's recommended. It's something that we're very used to. I have my own personal space. I am covered. I am comfortable with where I am. Whereas there, you're in such close proximity to Namaharam, and it's really, really uncomfortable. And if you can't zone that out, it's very, very difficult for you to concentrate. Okay. And one of the learning that you can take away from the tawaf, well, for me, that I take away from this, is if I can maintain my hijab in an environment where I am so close to Namaharam that literally, you're touching them, then why do I find it so difficult to maintain it here where I have my personal space, where I am so much in control of who comes into my personal space and who doesn't? Okay, so the realization that hijab is my personal thing and my journey, and it doesn't matter about others around me. That's their hijab, and they have to worry about that. I need to worry about my own hijab. Okay, the constant movement of the people around the immobile house of Allah is beautiful. It's just you just move around, and it's just seeing everyone doing the same thing, and that concept of submission. It's so beautiful. And imagine, and if you can actually sort of think about the fact that the Kaaba is directly below the Arsh of Allah, and the angels are doing exactly what we're doing around the Arsh of Allah. Again, it's beautiful. Yeah, everything revolves around something else. You've got the electrons revolving around the nucleus. You've got the planets around the sun, but we're doing it out of our own free will, and that's why it is so much more of value. Yeah, so I choose to do this. I have the willpower. I have free will. I can say no, but I choose to submit to Allah. And I choose to do this, and it's so much more powerful. It's supposed to remind us of life, because we start with Hajar Aswad and we finish with Hajar Aswad. We have come from Allah and we will return back to Him. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Yeah, so it's that concept of this is life. I was born and I will die, and the whole of my life should revolve around with Allah as my focus. So when I'm thinking about this, I should be reflecting and contemplating on, is my life with Allah as the focus? If not, what can I change? Okay, I've talked about the hijab. Salah after tawaf. Every tawaf that we do has 7 rounds, and after every 7 rounds of tawaf, then we do a salah, which is wajib. Okay, so even when you're doing a mustahab tawaf, you can't just do 1 round. It has to be the 7 rounds, and then you have to do the salah of the tawaf. Okay, so in between the umrah and the hajj, when you're doing the mustahab tawaf, remember it is 7. And there is salah after it, which is wajib on you once you've done the tawaf. Okay, and again, just on a side note, mustahab tawaf means that you are doing it for the pleasure of Allah. It's not something that's wajib. You don't have to do it. There is a huge reward in it, but if it's only done for the pleasure of Allah. If it is only done for the pleasure of Allah, I don't feel the need to tell others how many I've done. I don't feel the need to tell others and ask others how many they've done. Oh, did you do a mustahab tawaf today? Oh, do you know I did 10 mustahab tawaf, or I did 2, or I did... It's between me and Allah. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. In fact, it would sadden me if other people found out, because it's got nothing to do with anyone else. It's not a competition. It's not about me showing others what I'm doing. It's about literally me and Allah. Okay, so again, when you're doing mustahab acts, try to sort of keep them as secret as you can, because then it becomes easier to make it for the pleasure of Allah only. The salah after the tawaf, it's a wajib 2 rakat salah, and this is to remind us that we worship only Allah and no one else. Okay, so because we've been walking around the Kaaba, it is not the Kaaba that we're worshipping, it is Allah that we're worshipping, and then we go back to the Salah. So again, it's the same sort of principle that when we do ziyarah, you're told to do, it's recommended to do 2 rakat Salah after the ziyarah, because it's not the Imams that we worship, it's Allah that we worship. It should be done as soon as possible. So, really you should not be taking a break in between the tawaf and the Salah. You can take a break after the Salah, but after the tawaf, just head towards Maqam Ibrahim, behind Maqam Ibrahim, as close to Maqam Ibrahim. Again, please don't, in fact you won't be able to, you'll get pushed and you'll get moved back. But obviously you're aware of other people and you don't want to disturb other people's tawaf. So you will move back to where everyone else is praying. And you'll see there's a whole lot of people who are doing, because again, it's wajib on everyone who's done the tawaf. So you'll go and you'll join them. There is this concept of women having to pray behind men, that's discarded in this situation. So you don't have to worry about whether there's a man praying next to you or behind you. It makes no difference. And again, for men, it doesn't matter if there's a woman next to you or ahead of you. It makes no difference. You just find a space and you just pray. Okay, the 2 rakat namaz salah. Here, I suppose, the learning for me, what am I going to take back home, is that while I was doing the tawaf, I was connecting to Allah. I was, in servitude to Him. I feel so close to Him that when I do the tawaf, when I do the salah now, I actually feel that connection that I'm supposed to in salah. I actually, my mind's not wandering all over the place like it generally does in salah. And so maybe one of the things that I can take away is, rather than when I'm praying my wajib salah at home, rather than just going and praying straight away, maybe just take a few minutes to actually connect to Allah before I start the salah, because that connection will then help me in my salah. Okay? So Allah maybe, in a way is trying to teach us that, by doing the tawaf you connected. Now look at your salah. We're told when the Holy Prophet came back from Miraj, he brought the salah as a gift for the mu'mineen. It is supposed to be a miraj for the mu'mineen. I don't know if, do we feel like it is our miraj? Do we feel that we ascend when we do the salah? And again, it's because our mind is still on the daily things that we're doing. We're doing something, salah time comes and we go and pray, and our mind is still on what we're doing or what we need to do, or, the to-do list that we've got on our mind. We need to just take a few moments just to sort of let those things pass, to connect to Allah before we start our salah. Looking at the say, okay, so again, like I said, you can take a little bit of a break between after the tawaf and salah, and before you start the say, if you feel you need to take a break. It is recommended to go and drink some Zamzam water at this time to refresh yourself. The say you don't have to be in wudu for. It's, you can do it without, it's recommended to be in wudu, but you can do it without wudu. Okay, again, it's 7 rounds, but this time you start at Safa, and you end up at Marwa. So from Safa to Marwa is 1, and then from Marwa to Safa is 2. Okay, so you'll actually end up in Marwa. All these slides can be emailed to you, so please don't stress about getting all the information down. I'll send it to whoever's arranged this, and then he can email it to you. Safa and Marwa, it's about striving. Again, it's following in the footsteps of Bibi Hajra. And I think for me, Bibi Hajra is one of the greatest role models, because she was a non-Masum, just like we are. A lot of the times when we have Masums as role models, we kid ourselves and we say, oh, but you know what, they're Masum. We'll never be able to attain their status. So, and in a way, what I'm telling myself, why bother? I'm not going to get there anyway. Yeah. And again, it's subconsciously what we tell ourselves. We don't even realize what we're doing to ourselves. Okay. Bibi Hajra is a non-Masum. Okay. She, because of her tawakkul Allah, because of her reliance on Allah, she was given the status by Allah where not only women walk in her footsteps, but men. And these are men who are so arrogant that they feel that women have no rights within Islam, and yet they have to walk in the footsteps of Bibi Hajra. And look at where Bibi Hajra came from, okay? A lot of us, put down the fact that, we've got a hard life, and that's why we can't do what we're meant to do, and, we blame everything and anything in order to okay the fact that we're not where we should be, okay? Bibi Hajra had everything against her. She was a woman, which was looked down upon at that time, even more than it's looked down upon nowadays. She was black, again, which was looked down. She was a slave, again, looked down upon. And she was a second wife, which again was looked down. She had everything against her. And yet she managed to overcome all of that because of her reliance on Allah, because of her pure niyyah, because of her striving, yet not giving up, and not worrying about not sort of stressing on the results, but striving, knowing that Allah was in control, but not sitting back and expecting from Allah. Yeah? And because of that, look at the status that she's been given. Yeah? She's been buried at Hijri Ismail, so all the Muslims walk around her. All the Muslims walk in her footsteps. For me, she's the greatest lesson. It's like, Abbas was talking about in Medina how we're stopped from doing so many things. We can't go to Jannatul Baqi, we can't go we can't go near the Prophet's grave, we can't. It's really difficult not to get frustrated and not to get angry. And again, I think as women, we need to get in the right frame of mind so that this doesn't ruin our Hajj, and it doesn't, they don't dictate our actions to us. We're in control of our actions. I need to be okay. I need to know that this is how it's going to be, and know that even if you're stopping me from doing all of these things, you can't stop me from walking in the footsteps of the Holy Prophet. This was the land where the Holy Prophet walked. This was the land where Bibi Fatima alayhi salam walked. This is the land where the Aima walked. And if I can concentrate on that, and then just tell the Prophet. It's like I actually, when I'm in Medina, I tell the Prophet, you know how much I want to come to you. You know how close I want to come to you, and they're stopping me. I want compensation for that. On the Day of Judgment, I want you to come to me, because I can't come to you now and I really want to. The men can't do that. They can go to him. They've got their bit in this world. Inshallah, we'll get it in the hereafter. Okay? So again, getting into the right frame of mind so that you're not getting frustrated, you're not getting angry, your akhlaq is not being dictated by others. Okay? So these, can you imagine all these rights that we were given as women by the Holy Prophet? I honestly feel, when I'm in Medina, it just feels like those rights are being taken away from me. And then when you come to Makkah and you see, look at the right, the status, the right that Allah has given Bibi Hajra. You can't take it away. You have to walk in her footsteps, whether you like it or not. And it's so empowering as a woman. And that's when you realize that human beings aren't in control. They think they are, but they're really not. In the end, Allah decides. And I need to be aware of that, and I need to be working for that, towards that. Okay, so concentrating on that tawakkulullah. Here, while I'm doing the say, I need to be again contemplating, reflecting. I remember talking to someone, and they're saying, if you walk at a fast pace, and you have Dua Kumel on your whatever you've got, your phone or whatever, and you're listening to Dua Kumel, by the time you've got to the end of Dua Kumal, you'll have done the 7 rounds. So it's much easier because you don't have to think about how long it is and how difficult. That's not what it's not about a tick box exercise. It's not about just finishing it. It's actually this is where you're thinking about, this is the place of fear and hope. The fear of all the sins that you've committed, the hope of His forgiveness, the fear of heaven, the fear of hell as opposed to the hope of heaven. Yeah, the fear of misguidance as opposed to the guidance, hope of the guidance of Allah. So this is where you're actually, thinking about one way when you're walking, think about the fear and the things that you want to sort of change in your life and the things that you want to do istighfar for. And then on the other way, think about, okay, now look at the positives. What am I going to change? What can I do better of? What can I do more of? Yeah, so it's really important to be thinking about that. Thinking about the struggles that I can do more of in my life with that tawakkulullah. Thinking about how much tawakkulullah do I have? Do I really rely on Allah, or do I rely on others around me? How much do I feel I need others rather than Allah? Yeah, patience and forbearance, struggle and steadfast. These are all the things that I should be thinking about. Okay, the difference between tawaf and sa'i is in tawaf you started at the same point, you ended at the same point. Okay, so it's from birth to death. Focus is Allah. Say is symbolic of life itself. Where life is full of struggle, life is full of striving, and when you're striving, you start at one point and you finish at another point, and that's why you start at Safa and you end up at Marwa. Okay, so it's again thinking about that. There's a combination. I need to realize that I've come from Him. I'll go back to Him. He should be my focus in the whole of my life, but at the same time, I need to strive as much as I can. The results are on Him. I'm not concerned about the results. I just need to make sure my intention is correct. Okay. Once the sa'i is done, then there's taqsir, where you cut some of your hair. This can be done there or back at the hotel. But again, if you just choose to do it back at the hotel, please don't forget to do it. because you can't come out of ihram till you've done the taksir, okay? And you just cut a part of your hair. You cannot do it for someone else if you are still in ihram, in the state of ihram, okay? You can do it for yourself, but what we do is one person will do it and then they will do it for others, okay? And again, please be aware of your hijab here, because you're cutting your hair. You need to make sure that you're doing it under your scarf so people aren't seeing your hair. You're making sure that if someone else is doing it for you, he is mahram to you, or if it's a woman, then it's fine. But again, ensuring that your hijab is not thingied at all, compromised at all. Now the ihram is over and all the restrictions are removed. Okay, the focus of the attention comes from the soul to the body. So once you're out of the state of ihram, your body now comes back into play. Okay, now you can use all the sense stuff you want to do. You can do whatever, everything is okay now. All those 25 things that were haram are halal now. I think hunting is not allowed, but everything else is generally allowed. And I don't think any of us will want to hunt anyway, so we're fine. Okay, so it's about now my soul is stronger. Now I can, now my body can come back and my soul can dictate to my body. Okay, it's the example that we usually give in the month of in the month of Ramadan, in Mahr Ramadan. What we say, it's like when you've got twins, okay, and one is really really loud and one is really quiet, and one's constantly screaming, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm this, I'm that. You can't help but take care of the loud child, because you can't concentrate, you can't think. You're going to get a headache if you don't quieten the loud child, and the quiet child is usually forgotten. And this is our physical body and our spiritual soul. Okay, a lot of the times, because we're living in the physical realm, the physical body is constantly screaming, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I'm this, and we're so busy taking care of the loud child, our body, that we forget that we should be taking care of the soul. And what Allah does is, in Mahr Ramadan, in Hajj, He takes away the loud child. He takes away the body, and He says, don't concentrate on the body, concentrate on your soul. And it gives you that time out, because you can't take care of the body, then it gives you that time out to actually take care of the soul. And the idea is to connect to the soul, see the potential of the soul, feel the sweetness of that connection, feel the sweetness of the ibadah, so that when the loud child comes back, when your body comes back, you want to continue taking care of the soul. It's symbolic of starting a new life, because you've been forgiven your sins. You've made, you've mentally thought about these changes that you want to make. And again, I recommend everyone to have a small notebook that they carry around with them everywhere. And whenever something comes to you, just write it in that notebook. There, when you're connected, your soul will be speaking to you. Your soul will be inspiring you. And a lot of the times, things that we come up with there, we forget when we come back. The promises that we make, the resolutions that we make, we forget when we come back. And if it's written down, then hopefully it'll help us and push us to continue with those things. Okay, after Umrah Tamattu, we have a certain amount of time that we're actually in Makkah before we start the rituals of Hajj. Now, there are lots of things you can do, but again, as Abbas said, it is very, very highly recommended to be in the Haram, especially for your wajib salah. Please, please, please make sure, if you do nothing other than your wajib salah, at least go to the Haram for your wajib salah. Okay, the thawab that you get, it's really not worth losing out on. Okay, whoever, and we've got hadiths which talk about whoever looks at the Kaaba, the rewards are written for him and his wrongdoings are written off until he takes. So just looking at the Kaaba is ibadah in itself. There are 122 kinds of Allah's mercy that are around the precinct of the Kaaba, 60 for those who do tawaf, 40 for those who perform prayers, and 20 for those who just look at it. Okay. Again, as I said, when you're doing the mustahab salah, make sure it's between you and Allah. You can do as many niyas as you want for the mustahab salah. So you can do it for, your parents. You can do it for your teachers. You can do it for your spiritual guides. You can do it for whoever you want. You can do it for those people who maybe you've hurt, and you can't, you don't know who they are, or you can't get hold of them. So this is something that you can then give to them on the Day of Judgment when, you've got some bargaining tool. You can do it for the 12th Imam. You can do it for the 11th Imam who physically who did not get a chance to go to Hajj. You can do it for Baneen, you can do it for Bibi Najis Khatun. So there's lots of, people, and you can do it all in one, you can do it with one niyyah. So you can actually do one mustab tawaf and do all the niyyahs you want for everyone. It's up to you. And it's not like, when we give a cake to lots of different people, it's like they get smaller and smaller, the pieces get smaller and smaller. It's not like that. God will give as much reward to them as well as us. Okay, so it's fine to do that. And again, going back to the hadith of the Holy Prophet, which says an hour of reflection is better than a year of worship. Spend this time to reflect. Spend this time to think about what you want out of the Hajj and how, what are the things that you're going to be thinking about when you go to Arafah and things like that. Okay, Hajj Tamattu, lots of things that are going to happen. And again, I don't want to go into this in so much detail, but the ihram will be worn in Makkah, and you're told to wear it around Maqam Ibrahim again. Then you've got the wukuf of Arafah, which I'll go into in a little detail. Muzdalifah, you've got the rami of the Jamarat, the Qurbani, the Halaq or Taqsir. And then the Tawaf of Hajj, the Salah, the Sa'i is exactly like it was in Umrah. The Tawaf of Nisa and the Salah again is exactly the same as all the other Tawafs. It's just the niyyah is different, but all the other rulings is exactly the same. And then you've got the wukuf at Mina and the stoning of the 3 Jamarat, okay? And all of these, every single action is started with a niyyah. And again, getting that niyyah correct. This is just a very sort of brief time frame of how everything happens. And again, you will have access to these slides, so don't stress. Arafah is the best part of Hajj. Why do you think it's the best part of Hajj? Wow, it's 1:45, sorry. Why do you think it's the best part of Hajj? What have you read about Arafah? I can't. Du'as are answered. Du'as are answered in forgiveness, yeah? So you are promised forgiveness. In fact, the biggest sin for you to go away from the land of Arafah is to doubt that you've been forgiven. If you have sincerely asked for forgiveness, then know that you have been forgiven. Yeah? Don't doubt that. That's the biggest sin that you can go away with. The second reason why it is the best part of Hajj, your 12th Imam is there. Your 12th Imam is physically present on the land of Arafah when you are there. This is the only time you can be 100% guaranteed that he is on that land exactly where you are. This is probably the closest I will ever be to my Imam physically. Okay? It's an amazing, amazing thing to think about, because all the rest of the rituals can be done in different times and in bits. Even, when you're in Muzdalifah, it's part of the night. It's part of the time between Maghrib and Fajr, and then from Fajr to sunrise. In Mina, again, it can be half of the night, so it doesn't have to be the full night. This is the only time where every single Muslim who is in Hajj is on the plains of Arafat between Zohar and Maghrib. You have to be. So I know my 12th Imam goes to Hajj, and I know he will be physically present on the land of Arafah. It's amazing. Can you imagine the salah that you recite when you do your Zohar and Asr on the land of Arafah? You know your Imam is praying there at that time. If you can connect to that, your salah will be amazing. If you can connect to the spirituality of your Imam, Arafat will just, oh my God. It is the best part of Hajj, honestly. If you just keep reminding yourself your Imam is there, it's amazing. You have to be there between Zohar and Maghrib on the 9th. It's a place of istighfar. We've talked about that. Again, think about the concept of if this was the Day of Judgment, how would I answer to Allah? Think about all the things that you own. And there's nothing wrong with owning lots of things as long as you can answer for them, okay? As long as you're not doing asraf. And again, asraf is a very subjective thing, so you have to be true to yourself, okay? Think about all the opportunities you've been given. Think about the fact, what have I done for the pleasure of Allah? Okay, these are the things that I will be asked on the Day of Judgment. What am I going to respond? And again, the beauty is here I have a chance to change it, okay? Du'as are answered here, as someone said. Remember others. Again, it's really important to remember your parents. 40 mu'mineen. I'm sure people have asked you to remember them. This is the place to remember them, okay? If you remember others, then Allah will give you so much more. There's a hadith that says when a mu'min prays for another mu'min, Allah gives 100,000 times more to the one who is praying for his brothers. Yeah, so it's really important. This is a time to contemplate, to gain deeper knowledge, understanding. Marifa is from marifa, from knowledge, knowing. Okay, and it's that concept of a deeper knowledge. of who, of what. What you're trying to do is get a deeper knowledge of yourself, because the one who knows himself knows his Lord. You're trying to get a deeper knowledge of Allah. You're trying to get a deeper knowledge of the holy personalities. Yeah, the Dua Arafah will help with that. And again, Tawassul of the 12th Imam. Okay, Muzdalifah is where you will go to pick up the 70 pebbles. There is 2 wukufs, from Maghrib to dawn and from dawn to sunrise. Women are allowed to leave early, and we probably will be taken early. I think most of the groups take their women early, and it doesn't, you don't have to be weak or ill or anything. It's just generally women are allowed to go early, so you can. Again, here what you're thinking about is you had that time to actually intellectually think about things in Arafah. Now here what you're trying to do is get it from here, into your heart. Actually think about how the knowledge can be transferred into your heart. And then from the heart you can transfer it into action through your limbs when you're in Mina. Okay? It's again here, maybe think about the night of Ibadah that Imam Hussain alayhi salam asked for Karbala, before Karbala. And this is your night of Ibadah. The whole idea here is people ask, what do I do here? Once I've picked up the 70 stones, what do I do? This is the place where you're supposed to be remembering Allah. This is the place where you do zikr. This is the place where you're actually taking everything that you've learnt in Arafat, everything that you've understood, and now actually making it part of who you are, bringing it into your heart. Okay. Mina, then you will go. We will arrive as women. We will arrive at night. The men will arrive in the morning. They can't arrive into Mina until after Fajr. You will only stone the biggest Jamarat, the Jamarat al-Aqaba, okay? And the reason is here where you're thinking about, you want to break the biggest shaitan that you have in your life. And generally that's your ego. Generally for most of us it's our ego. So think about how we can actually break our ego, okay? You will only hit the biggest one on that time. You're told to try to hit it in the middle because it has been extended. So we want to try to hit the original spot. So we're told to try to hit it in the middle if you can, and it is possible. Okay. If you have to give niyaba, again, I think people tend to give niyaba very, very easily in Hajj. Niyaba should be given if you honestly cannot do it. And it's not about the walk, okay? We've been told that the tents are very, very far away, and the walk is, it's about an hour's walk from the tent to the Jamarat, okay? You can't give niyaba because you can't do that walk. If that's the case, then you have to go in a wheelchair, okay? When you give niyaba, if you cannot get into the crowds and you're not able to hit the Jamarat, okay? So if there's a problem and you're ill and you can't get inside, where you can actually... Oh, sorry. Niyaba is where you ask someone else to do it for you. So if you can't do it yourself, if you're ill or something, then you ask someone else to do it for you. Specific actions. And again, it will be explained in more detail. So for example, if a woman is in her monthly cycle, she can't enter the haram. So there will be times when, if she doesn't have time to do it before they leave, before you leave Makkah, and the tawaf has to be done, and there is no way she will be out of her monthly cycle, then she would have to ask someone else to do it for her. If someone is very, very ill and they can't go there and they can't do it, then again you ask someone else to do it for you. Yeah, but it should only be done if you physically cannot do it. And Aga says that when you give niyaba of Jamara, then it is recommended for you to actually be present there to watch the person doing it for you. Okay, so again, it's not about the walk, it's about actually doing it when you're there. What am I taking away from this? And again, it's that contemplation of what is it that I want to break inside myself? What is the shaitan that I want to get rid of? Qurbani is done after the halak, and as women we can't do it. Men have the option of going to do it, and I think Abbas recommends that you do. Again, it's up to you. But again, it's, even if we're not doing it, someone will do it for us. But we should be thinking about, what is it that I'm sacrificing? What is my smile? What is the thing that I love the most above Allah? What is it that I need to break? The love of anything should be as an extension of the love of Allah. If it's not, then I need to break that. I need to get rid of that. Okay. And the division of the meat is done it's done in thirds. So you have 1/3 which is given to the needy, 1/3 which is for yourself, and 1/3 which is for a mu'min. So we're told to pair up with someone and give it to them, my 1/3 to that mu'min. And then they will then make the niyyah that can be gone, that can go to the needy, and I will make a niyyah that my third can go to the needy as well, so the whole animal can be given to the needy. Yeah, so in that way then we're giving the whole animal to the needy. And it is my animal. It's my sacrifice, it's my animal, so I need to make sure that it's been sorted. And I think most of the groups actually pay extra to make sure that it's shipped out to those who need it. Okay, again, what am I taking away? What is it that I need to sacrifice in my life? What is it that's pulling me away from Allah? Okay. The halak or taqsir for the women, halak is the actual shaving. Again, if it's a first hajj for the men, it is recommended for you, in fact it's ihtiyat wajib to actually do the halak. Okay, even if it's not the first hajj, honestly, to get into the flow of things, it's really good to do it. And don't overthink it. Don't think about it from now. I remember when my son went, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. There's no way I'm going to do this. I cannot come back. Ooh, bold, I'm not going to do this. And then the next time I saw him, he's totally clean shaven. I'm like, what happened? It's like, yeah, no, it's like everyone's doing it. So of course I do it. Why wouldn't I do it? So again, when you're there, it's a totally different experience. So don't think about it now. Just go with the flow when you're there. It's a totally different experience. For women, obviously, it's just taqsir. It's cutting a little bit of the hair. Here, once you've done this, then you're out of the ihram, in that you don't have, all the things are removed except for hunting, intimate relationship, and perfume. So again, it will be the day of Eid. Please make sure you don't use, the attars and things like that, because you still cannot use perfume until your tawaf of Hajj is done. Tawaf of Hajj and Salah and Say is again the same things that we've done before, and after this, perfume is allowed. So then you can have a proper shower with fragrant stuff and everything. If you decide to have a shower after the taqsir, then it still has to be done with a non-scented thing. Tawaf of Nisa and its Salah, again, is the same thing, Tawaf and Salah. And again, I think one of the things that we need to think about is, you've done all of these things, you've done the Tawaf of Hajj again, you've done another Tawaf, you've done a Salah, you've done a Say, and now God's telling you, do another Tawaf. And this Tawaf is wajib for everyone, whether you're married, whether you're not, whether you're young, whether you have to do this Tawaf of Nisa. And you cannot have intimate relationships if you have not done this Tawaf. Okay? So again, maybe some of the things we should be thinking about is, how strong is this desire that God says to me, even after everything you've done, you still need to do another Tawaf. You still need to build that connection. So it's something to think about, yeah? The wukuf at Mina is to spend at least half the night, and this is from Maghrib to true midnight, or from true midnight to sunrise. Okay, true midnight is the time halfway between Maghrib and Fajr, and again, you will be told what that time is when you're there by your spiritual guides. So you can go back to Makkah and do your tawaf and everything if you want to, and then come back at true midnight if you're not too tired, or you can do it the other way around. Again, your spiritual guides will tell you what's the best way of doing it. On the day after every night that you spend in Mina, you will hit all 3 jamarats. And again, when you're hitting them, please think about, what is it that you're trying to break within yourself? What are the shaitans that are leading you away from Allah? What are the things that are pulling you away from being the person that you should be? Yeah. Okay, so very, very quickly, for the next couple of minutes, Salah on the plane. If your Salah is going to get qaza by the time you get to where you're getting to, you need to ensure that you pray it on the plane. Okay. Here, the time for the prayer is not the time from where you left or the time where you reach, but the time en route. And there's a beautiful app called Halal Trips, Halal Trips, I think, or something like that. Halal something, I can't remember. And that actually works out the exact time of the Salah. Okay, so it's great to have. And again, you'll be there. I'm finishing. So you need to make sure that that's done. If you ask the stewardess if you can have a space to pray standing up, if they allow, great. If they don't, then you do it in your seat. You have to try to face Qibla at least for your niyyah and the first takbir, and then the rest of the times, if you can't, that's fine. So if it's if Qibla is this way and you're sitting this way, at least face this way when you're doing the niyyah and the first takbir, and then you can face the normal way for the rest of the time. Salah in Makkah and Medina, again, as Abbas said, you have the option of doing full or qasr. It is recommended to do full. Jama'ah congregation, Jama'ah prayers you will do because of unity's sake. Aydullah Sistani says you should recite everything, but you follow them in action. Okay, so after you've done the second surah, if the imam is reciting something longer, then just do dhikr. Okay, or just stand quietly and listen. But you're reciting everything. You're reciting the surahs as well. Okay. Prayer times for Ahlul Sunnah, the only one that actually makes there's a difference is the Maghrib. okay? And it works out about 15 minutes. Yeah, roughly about 15 minutes, because they look at sunset, we look at the redness in the eastern sky when it dies away, okay? So that's the only one. The Fajr, there's very little difference. By the time they've done Adhan, it's time for our Fajr anyway, and Dhuhr and Asr, there's no difference. Sajda, again, most of the places there's marble, so you can do Sajda. In Medina, maybe carry your travel musallas, which has that thing that's on it, or a piece of paper. Don't use tissue, okay? It's better to have just a piece of paper. There is really no reason for you to do it on the carpet. And Salatul Mayyat, again, the Sunnis have 4 takbirs, whereas we have 5. And that's it. Okay, do you want to come back? Because I might have questions for you, please. Okay, very, very quickly, just before Salah, if anyone has any questions, any comments, anything that they'd like to add, anything they'd like to share. Thank you.
So the question is that you were in the ihram, you kept worrying about the kafara, which is good, because kafara is a penalty for doing something you shouldn't have done. But essentially most of the kafaras are to do with willful defiance, not mistake. It's not, the kafara does not kick in for mistake. So examples were given, people do things because it is out of habit. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want is defiance. I know this is not allowed, I'm still going to do it. And certain things, so... Sorry. Yeah, but defiance. Yeah. Yeah. So there are kafaras, but you have to be cognizant of that, you have to know what they are, or you can ask afterwards. For example, sometimes unavoidable. It doesn't quite fall into defiance. It falls into, I suppose, logistics, like traveling under the closed bus. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 So long hair. Again, with long hair and moving your hair. I have long hair too sometimes. So the point is, you rub the hair and hair comes off. People have showers. I have a really dear friend of mine who always says, okay, when I shower, hair comes off, right? It's not something that you are doing purposely. It's kind of like automatic, something, habit you have and so on. And that's okay. Sometimes I said logistically, if you have to travel with a closed bus, then you have to travel in a closed bus. You can't get open buses anymore. This is true for example, the people who are in the still remaining on the taqlid of Sayyid al-Khoi, rahmatullahi alayhi. So they give kafara because we travel at night, but in a closed bus. Sayyid did not allow that. So there is kafara. One kafara only for one ihram, for that infraction. So to answer your question, you try to remember it as much as possible, but don't stress about it if it happens by accident. But if in doubt, always ask the masail quickly to make sure that you are not taking liberties with something that has got an actual kafara. Sorry.
I think a lot of the times people feel like they're asking too many times or they're bothering us. We're there to serve you. That's what we've come for. So please, please, please feel free to approach us whenever you want, whatever time, it doesn't matter, because that's what we're there for, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, so qunut is not wajib, part of salat. As much as is possible, you pray with the people in the way that they are praying, keeping the hands open. Other Muslims, non-Shia, also keep their hands open. So a couple of times, the things that the people around you will immediately pick up as unusual. And there is this kind of irritating but sweet thing that everybody does there, which is they advise everybody else. Brother, what you are doing is not right. Do you know that? Meaning that you don't know the Masail, and it's done because of care. So one of the things that phases them out a lot is when we do the 3 Allahu Akbar at the end. Brother, what is this with the three? What is you doing, right? So they don't have that in their salat. Qunut, you might get a question, although Qunut is there in Ahlul Sunnah, it's mustahab in their Fajr salat and so on. So it's not something they haven't seen. Salatul Istisqa, they do Qunut and so on. Or for example, one of the things you will definitely get picked up of if you do this, and Shias do this, is immediately after Fajr salat, they pray a namaz. If they pray any namaz. The moment you pray any namaz after Fajr salat, somebody will tell you, brother, what are you doing? There is no salat after Fajr salat. And that is based on a very strong hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, who says, my community has not been given any salat between Fajr and Dhuhr. And this is accepted by Shia and Sunni. Because after Fajr, you are meant to go and earn your livelihood. And salat there's no salat. There's no salat recommended at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So the moment, now we might be praying for whatever reason. There are a lot of people who have qadha salat. They tend to pray after one wajib salat, they pray one of their qadhas, yeah? You'll be told, what are you doing? There is no namaz, right? So those are the kind of things will raise eyebrows. Qunut is mustahab. If you don't want to do qunut at that time, you can do qunut after your salat is over. The other thing about qunut is you do not have to necessarily raise your hands for it. Qunut does not mean to bring it like this. You can have your hands here. You do not have to raise your hands like that. Or you can do a very brief one. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, contact lenses are okay. Use a mirror.
That's fine as well.
Yes, no problem. If you need a mirror to actually fix something that is like you have a cut and you need to look at it to see exactly what have you done and how to bandage it, and you need a mirror to do so, that is okay in ihram. Similarly, to insert a contact lens, if that comes under that necessity. There is a difference. So what is not allowed is looking into a mirror to beautify oneself. To say, how am I looking? How is my hair for the guys or for the ladies, whatever else. You want to see, this is not allowed, and this is not something, that is against the spirit of what is being asked for. But if, for example, a driver needs to look in the mirror in ihram, that's okay. We got lifts in Makkah, everybody turns away from them as if, like back at the exorcism, they have mirrors. Everybody goes, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, like this. Yeah, well, don't look. We try to cover them up, actually. The bathroom ones, we cover them up with newspapers if we can. But it's not a big deal. It's not what you have to worry about. Yeah. We have, 5 minutes that we have to break for Salat. So yeah, to do sajda on a scarf is not allowed, or a cloth. You are not allowed to do sajda on anything that grows from the ground that is eaten or worn. Okay? It must be something from the ground that is not eaten or worn. So you cannot do it on a scarf. However, in Medina, Makkah there is no problem, everything is marble. The whole haram does not have carpet generally. In Medina, there are large areas of the haram that do not have carpet. Okay? Not every place has carpet. So you can easily find yourself, first of all, in the carpeted areas, stand in the first line. All the people in the first line are Shias, because every carpet is broken up by another foot before another carpet starts. But there is a whole area of the haram where there's no carpet. So you can find. Failing that, it's very common, all the Sunni brothers also, they take more musalla. You'll find people take musalla, they've got it over their shoulders, their own musallas, and they lay them down. You can take your own musallas. Every group should have a travel musalla, I reckon, given to them. The travel musalla has got that little straw patch in the middle, which is okay for us to do. Generally speaking, within the haramain, you have no problem. You may sometimes have a problem if you go to, for example, Masjid Qiblatain. Masjid Qiblatain is fully carpeted. And if you don't have your travel musalla, it is a bit of a problem. But even then, it's the salat there. If they are mustahab salat and you have no choice, you can do it on the carpet. You can take stuff with you. The travel musallas, keep them on you all the time. HSC has got your bags, right? So bags which we carry with us for books and things, the bag on the strap has got straw stitched onto it. The Wahhabis look at it and they say, they know it now. They say, you are Shia. There is no problem being a Shia in Saudi. What is a problem is doing something that is against the way they want to do it. They know we are Shia. Easily, I wear my aqiq ring, they know we are Shia. From our hijab, they know these are ladies who are Shia. The way they are wearing their hijab, many times. But they have no problem with that. They welcome you. Seriously, they welcome all the Hujjaj. They say, we are here to serve you. However, if there is a rule, and the Shias want to do something differently, that's when problems start. You're not allowed to touch any of the madar, you start touching. You're not allowed to do anything that they see as bid'ah or whatever, you start doing it defiantly, then you are heading for trouble for yourself and for Shia, other Shia who are there. Or you start arguing. Do not try to convert anybody there. Do you think a single Saudi can convert you to Salafism? No. That's the same thing he's thinking when he looks at you. No matter what you say, you're not going to convert me. It's not the place for that, actually. The place for that and the time for that is not Hajj. Okay. Yeah.
Couple of questions in relation to when you're wearing ihram. Glasses that change
Yeah.
sunlight,
Okay.
hearing aids, masks.
Masks. Glasses that change color, no problem. Hearing aids, no problem. Masks. So, for the men, the covering of the head is a problem in ihram. For women, it's covering of the face. And so they have to be very careful. If they wash the face and they put a towel to cover them, they cannot do this to cover their face. It is something to think about one day as to why in this particular place Allah does not want women to cover their faces in Hajj. But masks for women is absolutely not allowed, right? Those masks, by the way, don't protect you from people. They protect people from you. Right? It's that way. You know, you're not going to, those masks are not meant to sort of say, I wear this mask, I won't get, what was that bimari that sounded like a mother-in-law? SARS. Remember that virus? That was the year everybody wore masks. No, I don't mean it that way. I mean, I'm trying to say that that's the year everybody wore masks. Everyone. You saw mask. And then, I remember Dr. Nizar Merali saying, by the way, medical studies show that it is not protecting you from the microbes around that they're coughing out. It is only that it protects them from anything you are spewing out. And the advice we normally give is, you've got somebody who's obviously coughing and spewing next to you, into your face. Just turn away and just breathe outwards like that. Because, you can. Contagion is there, illness is there. You do not want to, obviously, get ill in Medina, because Hajj is everything. Hajj is waiting, and you need to be in peak shape for that. Yeah.
Just on that, a lot of the women wear namaz chadar in ihram. Again, make sure that the namaz chadar doesn't come up like this, because that's covering your face. So you need to make sure that the namaz chadar is below the chin. And I know most of the namaz chadars do cover this bit, so you need to actually pull it down. And it's the only time where the spiritual guides will actually be moving it away from you rather than pulling it and making sure you're covered.
Good. I think a lot of the stuff, by the way, fiqh will be covered in sessions every single day in Medina. So HSC, we'll be doing it for 4 days in great detail. Euro Hajj Mission will also be doing fiqh masails there, and I know Abbas will also, Hajj tours will also be doing at some point there. So those will be redone, and I hope you read also. So you get a familiarity with concepts, with places. I mean, show of hands, how many are first-time Hajjis? Well, there you go. That's about 80-85% of you. So a lot of this sounds like, I don't know if I'm ever going to figure this out. So many things, so much information overload. It won't take long for you to become experts at everything. You will begin to understand it. And there isn't that many things to do. So, but you have to read. Yeah, so we must finish now. I think, but please don't worry, and all slides will be sent down through Mustafa. I think that brings it to an end. We should prepare for Salah now. Please recite a salawat ala Muhammad.
For wudu, please, gents on this side, to my left, ladies on that side, to the main entrance. Thank you. I think it's turning to.
Now it's on. You wanted to speak to me?
Brothers and sisters, we'll break now for Jamaat Namaz. After Namaz, we've got Niyaz, so please do hang around. So immediately after Jamaat Namaz, we'll have Niyaz.
Malana.
Thank you. Yes.